Hi, this is Coffee Chat. Ernie Burns and Erin Burns with Burns Estate Planning Wealth Advisors, and today we're going to talk about estate planning and a variety of reasons for it, and maybe not for it. So we're going to talk about a little bit more detail, Erin.
Okay.
All right, let's begin
Sounds
this.
good.
First of all, the basics for estate planning, the reasons why you should have a will, Erin.
Well, at the very minimum, everyone should at least have a will. What that does is it will allow your assets to pass through to your children, but it has to go through the courts. So a little bit more about that. That process is called succession in Louisiana. Every other state it's called probate.
Yep.
But that it is the legal process to pass your heirs all of your assets, take them out of your name into their names. Um, associated.
And it does work. The problem with it is there's time delays, there's public disclosures. You have to hire an attorney.
Yes, and there's also a lot of unnecessary fees that can completely
Yeah.
be eliminated.
Now, with a small estate, it's very appropriate. And if there's not any complications, it's very appropriate. Now, when we're talking about a small estate, just our educated guess as master certified estate planners and certified estate planners, 300,000 and below, that's what your home. Usually, that a will is very sufficient. But if you're a little bit above that, I think estate planning overall, you might need some advanced planning.
Well, the legal limit in this state is $175,000. That is the limit to
Oh, I
where
didn't
if
know
it's
that.
under that, it qualifies for a small succession. Anything above that
Okay.
qualifies for a full-blown succession. And what that is, you have to hire an attorney. You have to either the children have to do this, or you can hire outside resources. But again, that's going to add to the fees. But the courts are going to need to know exactly how much your estate is worth, and that's going to be
Yeah.
a combination of your land, any structures on your land, such as a house, any any vacation homes. They're going to need to know the value of all the contents. That's including all of your contents, which is everything, your vehicles, your jewelry, so just like a full overall.
Including your investments.
Yes, and that's your money in the bank, any IRAs, 401ks, qualified accounts, non-qualified accounts. They just need to know a rough, or not a rough, a full value of all of your estate.
Yeah, because
Okay.
CPA is hired to do actually assist with this. Let's go through reasons for advanced estate planning, a little bit more advanced. And there's a lot of misnomers there. Let's talk about the misconceptions first. Misconceptions of estate planning, there's 12 different types of trust. The most popular trust, Aaron, I think, is the revocable living
It
trust.
is. It is. That's the one that we tend to lean the most towards.
Yes. And also, misconceptions of itself is it avoids legal issues. It does not. It is basically very capable of being sued and losing assets inside of it. It doesn't escape you from Medicaid spend down, for example, unless you do a special type of Medicaid special trust.
Yes, and it does not protect you from any sort of litigation whatsoever. So if you're in an accident, excuse me, and your assets are in a trust, it does not protect them from those assets being seized, for example.
Right. Gonna get my glasses here. I was writing some notes here. Oh, you do have full control over revocable living trust too, and you do not have to have a special tax number. So let's go for the reasons possibly for a revocable living trust, Aaron. Multiple children. If you have a few different children that are two doctors, one lawyer, and a drug addict, God forbid. Okay, or you have a child that has spending issues, or you have, I guess, spouses of children that you might not
Fully trust
trust.
because they influence all the time.
Yeah, and other reasons for a trust in itself. In addition to multiple properties, out-of-state properties, eliminates multiple attorneys having to be hired through regular succession or probate. So if you have properties in multiple states, it eliminates that issue altogether. So one trust in one state, we can basically order those properties from those other states, retitle them into the trust, and all of it avoids all succession.
Yes.
So the reasons for a trust overall, 100%, it kills the lawyers, like Shakespeare wanted to do, right? It eliminates all lawyer interference in overall. In addition to, it's speedy. In other words, in succession, it could take 9 months up to 2 years, depending on the state you live in. Whereas a properly funded revocable living trust, the assets pass immediately to the heirs within 45 to 50 days.
Yeah, but
of
that's
the-
just standard death process and claim time. So that's,
Yeah.
usually one that takes a little bit longer.
And the death certificates have to come in.
Right. That's
What
it.
other reasons, Erin?
Well, a big reason is a lot of people think about trust for older people, and this is going to be their adult children handling all of this. Well, what if you have young children and something happens to you? Heaven forbid, you want to make sure that you set up inside of your trust guardianship over your children, set up policies or maybe your 401k to fund that trust to take care of your children, making sure they stay in certain schools, making sure that their health care is taken care of, making sure that they have just support that they need. So a lot of people don't think about young children setting up guardianship and making sure things are set up for them properly, but it's very, very important.
Especially when the parents are traveling or something. If they both pass on, who's that next one going to actually take care of them? Is it going to be the grandparents or brother, sister?
That's something that I've seen very often is if something happens to both the parents, sometimes very often there is a grandparent war where they're trying to fight over the grandkids about where they should live, should they move, should they live here or there. But parents should go ahead and be proactive in the event something were to happen, that they can go ahead and dictate who they want their children to live with, where they want them to live, and just make things easier on the family, which makes things easier on the kids, so that there's not this tug of war over them.
Another thing too, when I opened the company up in the early 90s, didn't have this issue for about 10 or 15 years, but now there's divorce, second and third marriages, or people don't want to stay single if their spouse passes on too long. So a trust will dictate where your assets are going to one another. It makes life easier for the surviving spouse to move on with their life and closure.
Yes, so the big thing with the trust with second, third marriages at times is that it not only protects the surviving spouse from your spouse's previous children from previous marriages, but it also protects the children potentially from the current spouse. It just makes a clear line. It eliminates gray areas to where things are very clearly black and white about where assets go, who has access to what, and it just hopefully eliminates a lot of family.
And then also, obviously, the Biden administration is trying to pass some heavily increased tax issues for estate planning, include reduction of the federal tax limit from 11.7 to 3.5 million. That will affect a lot more families. And then so large estates could be affected. So estate planning is a little bit more needed there. In addition to special needs.
Yeah.
If you have a child that is on any type of government health care, they cannot directly inherit anything. So we include a special needs provision inside of our trust. When our attorneys prepare these documents, they make sure it's all wrapped up.
Yep, so we go over them very, very carefully to make sure that your special needs child can still be provided for, but never actually inherit or get too much funds in their accounts that would disqualify them from any benefits that they're on. It's very, very important because people think, oh, well, these people pass away, this special needs child is going to get this lump sum of money. Well, it sounds good, but that money only lasts for so long, and it could potentially disqualify them from benefits that you can't really put a price tag on because they're already involved in these programs, involved in these benefits on this system, and then getting this lump sum. It could be $200 over their limit, and it will literally kick them out of all of their benefits. So special planning needs to be in place to make sure that does not happen.
And the last misconception is, with a properly funded revocable trust, you buy, sell, and trade as you do now. You file your taxes just as you do now. You do everything as you're doing now. You just have a longer title on the end of your name, Revocable Living Trust. When a certified estate planner sit down with you, they help fund the trust with the attorneys. As the attorneys prepare everything, and we notarize everything, it makes life a lot easier. Look for an estate planning attorney near you, or give us a call at 1-800-308-4416, and we'll be glad to sit down and help you and see if you need a will or trust.
Yes, because it has to be a candid conversation. We're just going to go over all the options, get details on your specific estate, your children, your family, and then go from there and just figure out which route is best for you.
That's it. Or visit us at burnsestatePlanning.com.